and I am Jackie Goldstein. I'm here with Mary Mercer. I'm your host for the TraumCom Podcast, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about what it's like to move on and to date and to start having relationships after a series of traumatic events during, your romantic relationship and abuse and physical and violent things, and how you can heal from that and move on and love again and learn to be in a relationship and trust again, even though I'm sure it's a long journey, right, Mary?
Yeah. I mean, you get in these relationships, and I was in a relationship for, again, I was a Division I athlete, and I met him when I was 18. So I was,
Oh, wow. So can we just, pause for a second and really tell us a little bit about what you do right now and then about your Division I athleticism.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Back in the day days. I grew up in Tallinn, great family. I have 3 older brothers. I woke up one day and there was a tennis court put in my backyard. So these were the expectations. This is what you do. You play tennis and you train and you are groomed, and this is what you do. Mm-hmm. So yes, I went to college very young on a D1 scholarship, and I met a guy on spring weekend at UConn. As at Eastern here, we can all relate to spring weekend at UConn. It's a fairy tale. I love it. And he was different. He was from Oklahoma. He didn't look like anyone around here. And did I marry him to piss my parents off? Yes, probably did. I probably did.
You're not the only one in the world that's ever done that.
Yeah. So, you get married in your early 20s, and you have these amazing little babies right away, and everything looks great. And then you realize, oh my God, what did I do? And I did try to talk to my parents, and I did try to talk to them. And, they're old school. I'm taking care of them now. They're in their 80s. They're still married for like 65 years. You don't get divorced in our family. You don't get divorced.
Yeah,
you don't
so
get
that
divorced.
was like a stigma in your family, like that's something that's frowned upon, something that's not done.
You don't do that.
Period.
No, well, not for women. Men can, but women can't.
So, men can leave their wives, but wives can't leave their husbands.
Right.
Okay.
So, you just, I sat in it, and I dug deep, and I do what I do best, and I took care of my kids, and I created the Moms Club of Manchester, the first support group for moms that wasn't even in Connecticut at the time. I was the PTA president for all my daughter's schools. Like, you just do what you need to do. And then my kids were grown and lovely, going to college, and COVID hit. And I didn't have to sit in it anymore. I didn't feel like I had to sit in it anymore.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about what it was like when you were in the thick of it, because all right, here we have Mary, she's an accomplished woman. She is a strong woman. She's been through a lot. She's raised 2 kids?
2, yeah.
2 kids. You have a boy and a girl, right?
No, 2 girls.
2 girls. Okay.
Yeah,
My fault.
It's a force out there.
All right.
All the Mercer girls.
Okay, good.
Watch out for the Mercer girls. We're a force.
Shout out to the Mercer girls. But leading up to that, before you were a mother, you were a woman. You were a girl. You were just a person out there looking for love and some kind of safety. And unfortunately, you ran into somebody that portrayed to have those things for you. But what ended up happening in that time period, and that made you feel like, okay, I can't continue with this anymore. And just remember, there's so many women out there that are listening to this, right? Men and women. But, for this particular topic, right, you were a victim. and at one point, and you dug yourself out of that hole and you made yourself into the strong woman that you are today. And I just want to, know your story, what happened in that time, and how are you able to get through?
You're so sweet and kind. I don't know. I don't know how we get through. Honestly, I don't.
How did it get to that point?
How did it get to that point?
You date someone in the beginning. It's all, they say the honeymoon phase, right? It's all sunshine and roses, and sometimes that can hit a wall.
I think you want to believe in the fairy tale. I think everybody wants to believe in the fairy tale. Yeah, but the true fairy tale is you have to go inward and believe in yourself. So I lost myself. I lost myself in my marriage. I felt that for a very long time. We talked a little earlier today about poetry. I used to write so much, and I stopped. I stopped when I had my kids. I stopped writing. I stopped making music. I play the guitar. I play the trumpet. I stopped doing all of that, and I'm just getting back to that now. So what happened? Everyone wants to know what happened.
Why did you think you stopped, doing the things that you loved to do? Let's start there.
I chose to give up myself for my marriage and my children for 2 decades, and I kind of resigned to that. So it was all about the girls. It was all about the girls. It was all about the girls 24/7. And it's funny, I just started buying myself clothes in the last 2 years because I haven't bought myself clothes in a decade because I used to wear all their old clothes because I didn't care about, myself or having a fit or a style. And like you saw, we were out tonight and someone was like, oh my God, I love your hat. I love your fit. And I'm like, wow. It's because I'm finally getting back to myself. And it takes a really long time to get there. Let me tell you, it takes a really long time to get there. How did it come to be? It was COVID. And he was getting food. He was bringing it home, and he started arguing with me. And I was afraid he didn't tip the person because that's just the kind of person he is. And he got home, and he had been drinking, and he passed out. And I looked at his phone to make sure he had tipped the people who had brought us food. Mm-hmm. And then I found some very, very disturbing things on his phone.
Like what?
Some dating sites, some sex sites, some really awful things from a man who hadn't touched me in 12 years is now, not touched me in 12 years.
And look at how gorgeous this girl is.
And he's on these sites.
I mean, geez.
So I confronted him and then the divorce was awful it took almost 3.5, almost 4 years. It was really bad. We tried to co-live in the same house with our children because they were the most important thing. I moved into the bonus room above the garage with no heat and no air and lived there for 2 years. And
you reformed yourself to the bonus room.
Yeah, I put myself in the bonus room. No heat, no air, and every morning I had to listen to him rev up his Hummer in the garage below me and scare the crap out of me every goddamn day. But I knew my kids, he would never do anything to my kids. Again, I was a punching bag. I had been a punching bag for a long, long time. Long time. And we don't talk about these things because you don't talk about these things because nobody wants to hear about you and talk about it.
Well, that might be what some people, have been brought to believe, but we're here today to say that you do talk about these things, and you should talk about these things, and you need to talk about these things because it can avoid a world of hurt and really avoid a long road of recovery and healing that you might not need to go through if somebody who just talked about these things, right? If you would have talked about these things, maybe things wouldn't have gotten so bad.
We live in Connecticut. We're a very waspy state. We don't talk about these things. We don't talk about our feelings. I did not grow up in an environment where it was ever safe or okay to talk about your feelings. We are not allowed to have feelings.
In your family.
My family's motto was suck it up, suck it up.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Suck it up, suck it up. And to the point was, you have to know that if we're making fun of you and we're tearing you down, it means that we like you. Because if we didn't, we wouldn't even bother.
To give you that any attention, right?
Like, how awful.
It's either negative attention or
yeah,
none.
Yeah, like how awful is that as a concept to be brought up in? Like,
yeah, no.
Let's just beat you down until you're nothing.
Right. And then now you at least acknowledge who you are, who I am, and where you come from, because we've beaten you down just enough to give you a false sense of dignity and pride, and to make you follow our rules.
Well, I honestly think that's where my whole TikTok platform came from, is because after my accident, which was to be a whole other thing we can talk about.
Oh, we're gonna get into that.
Yeah. After my accident, I entered a whole nother level of trauma where you can't get to the point where it's so much that you just have to laugh. Like, you get to that point, almost like where people are stretching your IT bands, like in D1, and you're just laughing because it's so painful and so painful. It's like, you better laugh than cry. It's like you're either going to laugh or cry. If you have any type of injury, you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You have so much trauma that people are like, Mary, how can you walk around the world and be so positive and lift people up and help small businesses and do all these things? I don't have a choice. I enjoy it. How I met you that day was amazing.
We met at a Chamber of Commerce event.
Yeah.
Yep. We're both a member of the West Hartford Chamber of Commerce. Shameless plug.
Shameless plug for West Hartford Chamber.
Yeah. And, we're both women in business and aiming to make a better life for ourselves and for our kids, and to be able to grow in a financial place and to make more of ourselves and to be seen and be heard. And, we're at this meeting and I see this adorable woman across the table, and she's in
was that my pink coat?
Yeah, your pink coat. She had this pink little pea coat and this pink little hat.
I had the pink ear hat.
She had the hat, and I was like,
today.
"Oh my God, that's my one of my favorite colors." And we started talking, and we just vibed. And then a couple weeks later, we're at the spa together, in the hot tub and the jacuzzi, and we're in the steam room and the sauna, and we're just having lunch. And it just goes to show you the power of connections, right? When you kind of come into a place with somebody and you feel their energy. I also come from a place of feeling maybe inadequate at one point in my life, but I'm now at a place where I'm uplifting myself, because if I don't uplift myself, who the fuck is going to do it?
So when was the time that you felt most inadequate in your life?
So for me, probably I was also in a really tumultuous, negative relationship as well when I was younger. I had my daughter young when I was 18, and I found out that her father was cheating on me, multiple numbers and dating sites and all these things, very similar to actually probably the moment where you looked through your ex's phone and found all those things. And so similar thing happened to me, and my daughter was 4 months old at the time. And, I said, I don't need this. I don't need this. So, shortly after that, I started to date again. I was young and I was vibrant, and I was still, I was working. I was taking care of my kid. I had my own place, my own car. I was taking care of myself. And I met an older man. He was 11 years older than me. And I thought, he's older than me, so he has to have his shit together. That was not the case. Oh my God. I should have ran like Forrest Gump. Oh my God. Listen to me. This older man, he was 11 years older than me. So right when I turned 19, he was 30. And we started dating, and
1930.
I had my own place. I was always more mature for my age. You know, I always had my own car. I was always working since 16. I had my own car. I was working, I had my own job, saved money. This motherfucker really, he came in and really tried to like put on the charm and show me like, okay, well, you know, what it's like to be a father. He had an older son at the time, so he's good with my daughter. He's playing. We went out on dates. He was good to me. And that didn't last long. After a short period of time, he actually moved into my apartment. I'm 11 years younger than him. Moved in with me because he didn't have his own place. I was leasing.
Can we insert a red flag here?
I was leasing my own car, and there was a deal, and there was another cheap car. So I was leasing 2 cars at the time, and he was driving one.
Okay.
I was driving the other, but I was paying for both. I was working 40 to 50 hours a week, full time. He was a motherfucking DJ.
They're the worst.
Can you fucking...
No.
Can someone take me back in time and tell me and my 17, 18, 19-year-old self
There is a question.
to never date a fucking DJ? Don't ever date a DJ, anyone, ever. Oh my God.
There is a question out there. Like, would you like get, would you rather have $1 million or go back and do like the next 10 years of your life over again?
Girl. To be honest with you,
you take the fucking money.
I would take the money because you know why? Because during those times, I found out who the fuck I really was. That's why. Because so during that time when I met him and then I started to realize, oh, these DJing gigs aren't paying the bills. Oh, and now you're starting to put your hands on me. Oh, and now you're starting to control me and time me after I get out of work and how long it takes me to get home from work. I can't even stop at my girlfriend's house and smoke a blunt after work, or I can't stop at the store because he doesn't know what I need to buy and he doesn't know how long it's going to take me. I mean, clocking me, timing me, belittling me, started to deter my friends and family from coming over my house.
Sidebar, you don't need to go to the dispensaries anymore. You can just buy your weed at any of your local vape stores.
Yes.
Just talk to any of my guys at the vape stores. I'm sorry, I need to say that.
Yeah, so we don't need to do that anymore.
You don't need to go to dispensaries.
But regardless,
so funny.
I mean, I couldn't do anything. So back then, that was when I felt the most, to really get back to your question, I felt the most invalued from the time I was 19 to 22 and a half, almost 23, when I was with my son's father.
Yeah.
It was the worst time of my life. I was young and I was impressionable and I was insecure. I had just had a baby. I had stretch marks. I was heavier than I used to be. I wasn't in a clear mental state.
We could pull those out.
I mean, I have stretch marks for days. We have stretch marks. We have stretch marks. I have tattoos and stretch marks. But you know what? That's okay because it's a roadmap to what made us who we are, and that's mothers. Yeah. And I always say, yes, I'm a mother, but I am a woman before anything else, right? But so going back to that,
But
that's how I felt at the time. I felt like, oh, this man is giving me attention, even though I have these new stretch marks and this new weight put on me, and I didn't know how to be a woman yet. At that time when I met my son's father, I didn't know what it was like to embrace all of myself. So during that time, I took the physical abuse, the mental abuse, the verbal abuse, and for 5 years, just about almost 5 years, I put up with that. I left a couple times. He proposed. I called off the wedding. We put the wedding back on because I forgave him, because I was always believing that he was going to change like he said he was going to and stop doing this and that. Called off the wedding a second time. And the second time was after my dad passed. And I knew that my father would never want that life for me. My father was my best friend, and he would never, ever, he would roll over in his grave, even though he's cremated. I mean, it's a figure of speech. You get it. He would roll over in his ashes if he ever found out that I lowered myself to accept a man like that to really try to control me and abuse me and take advantage of me and take me for granted. So I left. After 5 years, I finally left when I was 23, and that's when I started over completely. I left that man he was in an apartment that was my own, and he wouldn't leave. So I chose to become homeless for 3 weeks. I stayed on someone's couch until it took me 3 weeks to leave my own place with my furniture, my pictures on the walls, my dishes in the cabinets, my furnishings, my decor, my bed set, everything I had. I eventually, after 5 years, decided that I'd rather lose all of that and start over than to stay with him another day. It was horrible. So I got out of that. But that was the most invalued I had ever felt in my life. And after that, I grew, and that's when I started my cleaning company, Jack's Cleaning Service. And I started to value myself and take charge of my life. And there comes a time in everyone's life, man or woman, where you have to do that, and you have to say enough is enough. And I know we touched a little bit about how, you found out your ex was
Well, it's
so
so
what
funny.
happened with that incident? Because I know there's a trauma here after that. So let's talk about that with you.
I love the fact that you're talking about your cleaning business, because I will tell you, a big trigger for me is this man, instead of talking to me or hanging out with me or going on vacation with me or taking me out to dinner or doing anything, this man would come home at night and clean the grout. He had a toothbrush and some special grout cleaner, and he was obsessed with cleaning grout. I don't know what that's about. Okay.
You don't know what the grout's about. What's the grout about?
I mean, you don't clean grout. Like, this girl could get it done like that. I don't know why he was doing that all the time. Okay. So on December 12th of 2023, we had court all day. We were in court all day, and we were still living under the same roof. I came home. I just picked up like a Subway sandwich.
Was it divorce court?
Yes.
Okay, so you had filed for divorce.
Oh, yes.
All right, so now you're there.
This should have been like our final thingy thing.
Okay.
So he was not happy with how court went that day. He was not happy. Did not go well for him. He said some really stupid things to incriminate himself. He said some really dumb things. Like, I don't know. It was a really long day. So I stopped at Subway and came home and was in the kitchen. And then all of a sudden, he flew in with some friends, and he'd clearly been drinking. And I went to go upstairs, and then he came in. He was making a lot of noise. So I came down to check on the dogs, and I was in the kitchen, and I looked at him in the living room, and all I said was, I'm sorry you had a bad day in court. He lost it. He went black. He went sheet black. He went sheet black, like eyes have never seen. He got up, he stumbled, he almost fell through the window, and he just came at me. And
You're tiny.
I'm 109 pounds.
She's small, guys.
I'm 5'7", but I'm 109 pounds. Yeah, he picked me up and threw me onto the tile of the grout that he's been cleaning for fucking 3 years. Tried to smash me into the floor. I scrambled away. I don't even know how I had my phone on me, but I got out he chased me around the inside of the house, and then I got outside, and I called 911. And when they say 911 does not respond quickly, bullshit, because I am telling you, there were like 9 cop cars there within 30 seconds.
And what area did you live
in Manchester.
Okay, that's Manchester. There's some areas where the cops don't come as quickly. Let's talk about it.
I am telling you, they responded
that's
so
good that
fast.
they did
They
for
responded so fast that night. So they kept me on the side of the house. He decided to go, so again, assaulted me, went in the house, realized what he did, went upstairs, crawled into bed, and pretended to be sleeping like a possum.
My dog just did that the other day.
So the police took 4 officers. This man is 6'4". Took 4 officers, and they came out. They're like, he's pretending he's sleeping in bed. And I'm like, really? Took 4 officers to drag him up the driveway. And then they told me that I was safe. They told me I was okay. I have a protective order. You can get some sleep now. Everything's okay.
All right. So you're like...
I'm good.
Okay.
So I'm like, but still, like, I'm traumatized.
Of course, you're shaken up.
Yep. So I go to bed. I get up at 6 a.m. like I normally do. I make my tea. I'm sitting on my couch, naked, just in my bathrobe, drinking my tea. This man blows through the front door.
Oh, Mary.
This man blows through the front door, and he goes, you MNFer.
You can cuss on this show. It's fine. We cuss here.
He said he just is like, you fucking cunt. He's like it's over for you. And then he went upstairs and he started banging around upstairs. I grabbed my car keys, got into my car in my bathrobe, naked, and just pulled out of the garage. And then I didn't know what to do. So the police told me to call if he came back. But again, I'm a fucking idiot. I don't want to cause problems. Again, my family does not like
You have to protect yourself, though.
So I call my boss. He's like, call your attorney. I call my attorney. And my attorney's like, call the fucking police. You're crazy. I call the I don't even call 911. I call a regular number. And she's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Are you the one with the long driveway? I'm like, yeah. She's like, oh my God, he can't be there. He can't be there. What are you doing? And I'm like, I'm sitting in my car. And she's like, okay, my door. I said, yeah, my doors are locked. She's like, okay. They're sending someone now. So they sent someone. And then he kept coming out of the house, swearing at me, throwing things at me. And then he got in his truck, got in his big Hummer. Big man with a Hummer. And started to drive away. And then police were like, can you tell which way he's going? I'm like, yeah, he's taking a left. And then 30 seconds later, like, okay, we got him. I'm like, well, what does that mean? And they're like, he's going to jail again. I'm like, what about the truck? They're like, we're impounding it. Why do you care? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just terrified.
You probably didn't even realize the severity of the situation at the time.
Yeah. And again, then I talked to family services like at 10 a.m. and I was so concerned because I'm like, maybe he came back and just didn't realize. And they're like, no, he was in front of a judge. And the judge said, you are not allowed to go back to the house under any circumstances. You understand this, Mr. Mercer. You're not allowed to go back to the house under any circumstances. And he said, yeah, I understand. And the first thing he did is took an Uber and came right back to the house.
See, that's a lot of toxic
scary.
behavior.
That's just scary. That just scares the crap out of me.
So you had to get a restraining order.
No, I didn't even do it. The state did it for me. They got 2 protective orders against him for me. And then they were lifted. And I wasn't even informed by the state. I got a text from him one day saying, hey, motherfucker, my protective orders have been lifted. See you soon. I can come back to the house anytime I want.
Oh my God.
Okay.
And what did you feel in that moment?
I mean, I'm just terrified. I'm terrified all the time. I'm terrified all the time.
Yeah, because that wasn't that long ago.
No, I'm terrified all the time. So it's like, you know, you have trauma response. You have even to go out to eat. I met my friend Amy last night at Benny's in Vernon, and she had to run out, and I was finishing my meal, and some guy started talking to me, and it gets very triggering. I'm just like, what, you know?
You start wondering, what are your intentions?
What are your intentions? I'm a nice person. I would like to meet a person. I would like to date again, but the whole world freaking terrifies me.
I was like that after I left my son's father. He was the first of 2 abusive relationships that I had been into my life. I was young. And when I finally left, after almost 5 years, and I was in my own apartment again, which, like I said, I left my apartment to be home,
your apartment,
my own
your
place,
own place,
with all of my own furnishings,
to get
everything
away from him.
to leave. Yes, I did. And I told him when I left, I said, you're going to need this shit before I do, because I'm going to get it all back. And I did. Yeah. And he lost the apartment and whatever else happened to him after that. But, you know, when I did leave and I moved into my own place again, and I was like off someone's couch for 3 weeks, I stayed with this amazing woman. I left him, and I was young. I was just barely 22, just about to be 23. And I was working at Margaritaville. And when it was back in Mohegan Sun, and there was a lady there that was working with me. She was just a little older than me, and she was in a different department. And she saw me crying one day at work, and she's like, "What's wrong?" And I was like, "I don't want to talk about it. I didn't like to talk about my shit." But I told her what was going on, and she's like, "You don't have anywhere to go?" I was like, "No." And she's like, "You can stay on my couch. You know, you and your daughter." My son was just a baby then, and so I left him with my son's father for those 3 weeks, because he was a baby, and he didn't need to be, you know, taken on the couch, and she was going to school, so I could bring her to school. So it was, you know, I'm like, you know, you handle this, but when I get my own place, he's going to be with me again, and you can see him, you know, on the weekends and whatever. So that ended up happening, but right after I got into my new place, I started getting text messages from him, telling me what I just bought at the store, telling me there was a green truck in my driveway. And about 6 months later, I had started to date someone, and I remember he had sent me a text. So my son's father is half black and half Puerto Rican. He's very, very light-skinned, though, like much lighter than me. And
it's so funny that everyone thinks you're black.
Like, I am.
Sorry.
I am half black. Everyone thinks I'm Hispanic.
Oh, everyone thinks you're Hispanic.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
Everyone thinks I'm Hispanic. And we talked about that. Everyone thinks I'm Hispanic, but I'm black, and I'm white, and I'm a little mix of everything. I'm not Hispanic. But so this guy, he texted me because I was dating somebody that was another African American man, and I get another text from my son's father. "I wish I was black." Like, what the fuck? You know you're half black, right? Because he saw me with another black man, he sent that text. He was sending me texts that were weird like that. Sending me my location, like where I'm at, where he saw my car, who he saw me with. So it got to the point where I was terrified. And so I finally went to the police station, and I got a restraining order. And they don't just grant restraining orders for requests. Like, hey, this guy's bothering me. This woman's bothering me. You know, can you please? They have to really see evidence that there's threatening, you know, messages. There's, you know, you're telling that person you don't want contact with them, and they keep contacting you. There's a plethora of things that they have to go through to decide, hey, this is restraining order worthy, right? So I was granted my restraining order, and, you know, things kind of subsided after that, but I was lucky enough to not have him go after me physically once we had broken up. But one of the times, I think maybe it was the very last time I think I was leaving him, because I had tried to leave so many times, and he had either begged and cried and pled for me to stay and promised he would change, and I gave in because I was young and I didn't want to be a single mom with 2 kids and do it all on my own. I wanted to give my kids a family, but that was not the answer right there. So, you know, but the last time I left, I remember I was packing the last of my bags, and he was like watching me leave. No, this was the second to last time I left, because the last time I left was in my place. But the second to last time, when I taken him back again, being silly, he punched me in my vagina, like right in my pelvic bone, as I was walking out with like the very last bag, like, and I was really like about to leave. He was like, "Oh, I hope those other guys are going to enjoy that." And he punched me like,
that's
you can, like,
that's insanity. I'm sorry, but that is insanity.
Yep.
That is absolute insanity.
Yes, absolutely. But he couldn't take the fact that his actions caused me to have to leave. And that's a narcissist. That's all kinds of things that you're, I'm sure, pretty familiar with. But it's really hard sometimes to when you break off a relationship with somebody that has caused you anguish, mental anguish, physical pain, emotional pain, discomfort, uncomfortability, fear, any kind of those emotions. And then how do you go on to have a healthy romantic relationship after that happens to you?
It's very, very hard. It's hard because you have to trust in people, these strangers, and also I'm 48. Like
I'm 38.
These men have been coming out of, the guy I've been seeing. He's traumatized by his relationship. He's never good enough. Everything is never good enough. Therefore, I don't know what that plays into me. And God, nothing works. Nothing fucking works. Nothing fucking works anymore. We were just hanging out earlier. Some guy stopped, complimented me, blah, blah, blah. Normally people don't talk to me in public. I look like me. I'm me. I don't care. Like, I'm fun. I'm fashionable.
Yeah.
I'm me. But I'm not approachable. I'm really not, like, approachable.
Nonsense.
Like,
I think she really sells herself short. She, but it's hard to see yourself maybe as being approachable after you work so hard to build up that wall.
Do you feel approachable? Like, are you approachable? Like, do you feel comfortable talking to men and being approachable?
I do now. I do. And I do feel like I'm approachable. And I feel like you're approachable too, because I think you've done a lot of healing by now. But I think there's still so much more to go for both of us. But I feel like approachable can be so many different things, right? Like if you're a single woman, and you're in the world and you're in the dating scene now and you're open to new things and new experiences, new people, you carry yourself a certain way. You don't go out and get dressed up and put jewelry on and look nice and go out with a smile on your face. When you're not ready, people can tell you're not ready and you're not approachable. But
I'm just comfortable all the time.
Yeah.
And I am cute.
Look at her.
This is with intention. I mean,
Look at it. Can you stand? Like, just stand up. Stand up.
I don't know. This
Just
chair is
careful.
so comfy.
Just careful with your headphones. But just do a little. Yeah,
But
look at you.
even
Look
my
at you.
shoes,
Look at her.
even my
Look at her.
booty boots,
Little
like,
fashionista.
right? Even my booty boots, just
And she says she's not approachable, you guys. Like, listen to this. That's BS.
I'm not approachable.
So my thing is with you, Mary, is that you've gone through so much shit and you've gotten a lot of the short end of a lot of different sticks, and you but you keep going and you stay positive and hopeful and perky.
What else am I gonna do?
And I haven't seen a negative bone in your body, and I really praise you for that because trauma does wear people down.
The guy that I'm seeing says I'm mean. Have you hung out with me? Have you seen me
Listen,
we've hung out a couple times.
I'm not trying to get on your bad side,
No,
Mary.
no, but I'm saying
I think you're
sarcastic.
you're very peppy and I think I'm perky. But I think that we all, when we're in a relationship though, we all have triggers and
It's the triggers.
And we don't act like our normal selves when we are triggered. Nobody does.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what some triggers might be, right? For some people that have been in abusive relationships. So we'll go back and forth maybe.
What are your triggers? Give me one.
So one of my triggers is when if I'm in a argument with somebody, anybody, but specifically a man, because I have trauma with the men. I've been in two different abusive, my son's father, and then I fucked up and married a man years down the road later that also, when he got drunk, put his hands on me and was a totally different person when he was drunk. So I've dealt with that two different times. and the second time much shorter of a time period because I don't have any more energy for that. And but the thing is that when a man, like if anyone like puts their finger in my face, like if you're yelling at me, if we're, we can argue. We can
I
have
think
argue.
that's a trigger for anyone.
My son's father used to poke me in my forehead and in my nose and my face until my nose bled. He would literally stand in front of me and poke me while he's talking down to me, and like follow me around, and he would just poke me in my head,
That's
my face.
insane.
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
insane.
it was
That's
horrible.
insane.
And a lot of times he wouldn't do those things in front of my daughter or after I had my son. But one day he fought. Like I took my daughter into the other room and I sat her on the bed just to get her mind off of the yelling and stuff. And I started to play the hand slap game with her. And so I was like, okay, she was maybe
What's the hand slap game?
3 or 4. So it's like when you like,
Oh, this.
yeah, like, can you get me? Oh, you missed me.
Got you.
You got me. Okay. So I was doing that, and that one day too, like he had crossed the line because he would tend to calm down when he noticed my daughter in the room or paying attention, or if I said, hey, she's right there, he would kind of stop and walk away. But that didn't last long because he eventually stopped caring about that too. So one day he had come and followed me into the bedroom, and right when she was sitting right in front of me, like we're both sitting cross-legged in front of each other playing the hand slap game, and he just come and poked me, and my nose started bleeding right in front of my daughter. And that was something that was really scary for my daughter, and she remembers to this day. She was 4 years old, and she will never forget that.
That's terrifying.
And I tried so hard to protect her and shield her from that, but it was like right from that moment where I realized, okay, now he's never going to stop because he doesn't even care about my daughter anymore, like about her or what she sees. So that's a trigger. So that's a trigger for me, is like someone putting their finger in my face or pointing in my face when they're talking to me in an aggressive way. Please don't do that to me because I might punch you in the face. I get very like back to, it's like a wild animal. Like when they're backed against a wall, I mean, it's fight or flight, and I am all fight all day because that's what I had to do. That motherfucker that was 6'1", 250 pounds, my son's father, I put him in the hospital 3 different times. Like first time had to, just defending myself.
Yeah.
Because if it's going to be me or you, it's not going to be me. I promise you. I promise you. But I got tired of fighting. I got tired of fighting back. Like at first I was like, well, I had this sense of like, well, if he's going to put his hands on me, well, I'm not going to go down without a fight. That's for sure. Thought I was so tough. Thought I was like, so tough. But at the end of the day, he could have ended my life at one swing.
Yeah, at any time.
At any time if he really wanted to. But he enjoyed making me squirm. He enjoyed pulling me, squeezing me, grabbing me, pulling my hair, poking me, choking me, doing things that were just under the like punch you, slap you. He slapped me in the face one time, and it was just like, God, like, am I going to live like this? At first I was like, well, I'm not going to let my kids see me go down without a fight. I was so dumb for thinking that because they're still seeing the fighting.
They're still seeing the abuse.
And the abuse. And then so eventually I'm just like, no, this can't be. And when I did leave that final time, I was convinced that I was going to kill him because I knew that I didn't have any more in me to take.
So I never fought back, and I never stood up for myself, and I never did anything, and that's why my oldest daughter won't talk to me. So the one time I did, and this is the only reason I can think she doesn't talk to me, the one time I fought back and stood up for myself, they were upstairs, and she came down from her room, and she tried to get in between us, and she looked at me, and she screamed at me. And I said that this is none of your business. You need to go away. And she went away. And she hasn't spoken to me since. And that was 6 years ago. And that wasn't directed at her. That wasn't directed at you, Brooke. That was, please get out of the situation because I don't want you in between me and your father.
Yeah.
But to this day, she doesn't speak to me. And I don't feel like I can have a Christmas or go back to my parents' house or celebrate Christmas with them because she won't even talk to me. But I was just protecting them and myself to the best of my ability. And I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah. She and Daddy's girl.
Yeah, they apparently they spend all Thanksgiving together. So, and I get to hear about that. So, and that's fine. And I have nothing bad to say about him ever. I never will. I never will. I don't do that. I don't do that.
Yeah, but you know what? The facts are the facts, and you have a right to speak your truth, and that is, and there's nothing wrong with that. And maybe someday, you know, she'll come to realize that. I also can relate to that fact, the factor in your life of having a strained relationship due to the father of your child. So, going on a little bit more with my story with my son's father, you know, I had left him in the past. I had moved on with my life. 4 years after we had separated, I had finally been able to get him into the court system for child support. So for 4 years, we're separated. But, you know, he's not paying child support and he's not helping me financially support our son. He's not giving me money. He's not buying him things, clothes, nothing, right? So we go to court and he gets set up for child support. He doesn't pay for like never. And so we go back into court and he got locked up for like 30 days. But he had a purge amount to pay for like $3,000 because there had already been an accumulative amount that he had owed in back child support. I'm like, hey, I just need a little help with our son. Like, I'm not asking for a lot, $50, $60 a week, something to help me to feed him, clothe him, whatever.
Yeah.
Take care of him, entertain him, everything I do, it costs money.
Everything.
You know, so
Life.
he went into jail and told everyone that he was going to kill himself if they didn't let him out. So after just barely a couple weeks, they let him out and let him pay $300 on the $3,000 purge amount to get out because he had cried suicide. Right after that, he left the state and I never saw him for 7 years. He didn't call. I mean, I brought my son to see him every weekend, like everything, but he didn't call my son to say, hey, I'm leaving, I'll see you at some point. My son was 6.
Wow.
Now, my son at 12 and a half found him on Facebook and asked him to come back into his life. And
How do you feel about that?
well, he came back eventually because him and his kid's mother, wherever they were in Florida or whatever, they had split up. And when they came back to Connecticut, she had to get away from him too at that point. She was 17 years younger than him and actually dated his oldest son in school. They were the same age. His second kid's mother after me. Again, goes for the young ones, is a predator type. And, that girl was his son's age. And they went to school together and they dated for like a brief stint in like middle school or like something like that. And it was like, and he knew that. And he dated that girl and he knew the girl's parents and family. I mean, they want to kill him. He got her pregnant at 18. And, you know, he was in his late 30s.
That's wild.
And he grew up with her parents, her family. So that's the type of predator that worries me, that's out there. And if a strong-willed woman like me, an independent, smart, young woman like me could fall for somebody like that, it worries me about my daughter and other women out
Or
here.
me. Just dating is
You know?
scary.
It's not
Dating
like
is
we're
scary.
dumb. It's not like we're idiots,
No, we're
right?
not idiots.
But we
everyone,
fell for somebody that fed us the lines.
Everyone can
you
have a
know?
story. Everyone can recreate a story. Everyone
So,
can recreate their truth.
yeah.
It's absolutely terrifying.
It's terrifying. So I get with this like psychopath that like puts forth all this stuff, is abusive. We break up. He leaves my son's life for 7 years. My son cries to me, back in the day when he was younger, missing his dad, didn't know where he was. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to tell him. I didn't even know where his dad was. So comes back into the life. This is where I can relate to you and your daughter. Comes back into his life, and me and my son's relationship has never been the same. Ever since the first time that, my son's father came back into his life, he told my son that the reason he had left was because of me.
Why?
He said, well, son, your mother was trying to get me locked up and put me in jail. So I had to leave in order for me to have self-preservation and not be in jail. The only reason I left is because of your mother. She made me leave. So my son, who missed his father incredulously, who pined for him for 7 years.
And then he just threw you under the bus.
So that's what my son believes.
Right.
Because he wants to believe whatever his father's going to sell him.
Right.
Because he missed him so much.
That's what my children believe. Whatever their father is selling them is what they believe. So
Right.
I don't even have a foot to stand on. I have nothing to stand on with them at this point.
And what am I going to say? Because
I don't bash him. He can bash me and say whatever he wants, but I don't. I take the high road. So everyone says they will figure it out.
Yeah.
They'll come back.
I hear that
they'll be
too.
30.
Yeah.
Well, great.
there's half their life.
I don't fucking care. Don't come back when you're 30. Come back now. Your mother fucking needs you.
Yeah.
Come back now.
Yeah, your mother fucking needs you.
Come back
Hello?
now. Come
Hello?
back now.
No, but in all seriousness, I mean, we have been through so much, and we have dealt with a lot of trauma and abuse from our kid's father, and our children don't see it the way that it happened. They don't need to see it the way that it happened, but we wish that they would understand.
I wish
like
they
what
would
we've
understand,
been
right?
through,
And
that we're still their mother.
The reason we protect them is so they don't have to understand. Yet we get upset and sad that they don't understand and don't talk to us. And remember, well, we can't tell them. We can't tell them what actually happened because that would break them. We won't actually want to do that. That would be horrible to say the things that is actual truth. That would be horrible for them to know that about what happened to me and about things.
Do we want you to hate your father?
No.
No.
We just
but we
don't
do want you don't want us to hate
we don't want you to hate us
based on the lies that your father's telling.
We didn't do anything
you.
wrong. We didn't do anything wrong.
In our cases in particular, the father of our children, or the father of my son and your children, they've done so much wrong to us, and in order to save face to their children, they have to put that blame on us. In order to be able to continue that relationship with their children and not be seen as the monster that they really have shown us that they can be.
It's really sad. Honestly, it's really sad.
So now, right? Okay, great.
Go ahead.
You're over there. Sorry that you hate me now. You don't want to talk to me now. Our relationship is strained now, whatever it may be.
But I'm awesome.
Yes, but we are fucking awesome. And we are still, guess what? We're not just your mother. We are women. And guess what? We date. And we have a life. And we have to move on. And we have to get with the program. And we have to get back to ourselves and find ourselves. So I want to ask you, Mary, I know that, after that tumultuous time with your ex-husband, and the attack and the physical violence and all that, it still stays with you, and I'm sure you still probably think about it almost every day, if not every day, and most weeks, and probably every time a man comes up to you and looks at you or talks to you, right? Because that's just what trauma is.
Yep.
It sticks with you.
Yep.
But you have found it in yourself to trust someone else again and love again and do something for yourself again, and that's put yourself out there and welcome love from another man and from another source that is always going to be a potential danger, right? Because the opposite sex, now that it's proven, can be a dangerous thing to us. We have to really find a way to
Man
sort through it.
versus bear in the woods. Go.
Yeah. So what are you going to do? I mean, so how do you find it easy or not easy to be with your man that you're with now? I mean, what is stepping out into the dating world become for you?
It's nearly impossible.
Because I know you're new, like you've been
Yeah.
dating, and you're not like, nothing. You're not like on the verge of getting married or anything right now. But you're dating.
I've been seeing someone, and it's really hard because I have trauma. He has trauma. Like when you've been in these extended relationships, my trauma is a little different than his. Like he gets, I think, a little triggered by things that I do that maybe his ex did, or things that he thinks that I need, and I could give two shits. With his OCD, and apparently his ex was very demanding, and I'm not that way, and it's almost unsettling for him. Like I can't even explain it. It's like it's almost like he wants the trauma. It's almost like, can you create the trauma that I'm used to? I'm finding that really strange. So I don't know. I think it's kind of impossible to date after a lot of trauma.
Well,
I don't know. I'm trying to navigate it. It's not working out so well for me, but I'm trying.
well, that's the key part, is to keep trying, and to keep working on ourselves, and to keep looking within others to make sure that they're also in a healed space to enter our lives. Because it's not just us that we need to make sure, it's not just ourselves that we need to make sure are healed. It is the other person that you're allowing into your life. Because
they're certainly not healed. I don't invite any
you could
healed
do
people
so much.
into my life.
You could do so much work on yourself.
I invite all the damaged people. I only and apparently gravitate towards damaged people. So come all the damaged people. I invite you. Let's go.
And guess what? This is exactly why I wanted you here, because the damaged people, the damaged, quote unquote damaged people, are our fucking people. Because guess what? Every motherfucking one of you out there is damaged in some way. Every single one of us.
And if you say no, you're in denial.
And that is also a problem in itself. If you could have all the tools.
Not just a river in Egypt.
Yeah, right.
I feel like we should do sweaty balls. Can we do like a sweaty? Like, look how young you are. You don't even know about sweaty balls. Do you know about sweaty balls?
Sweaty balls.
No, I don't.
You don't.
Oh,
You
Liam.
don't know.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
can
So
you please inform
we're
me?
gonna do a Christmas episode. So you've never seen the SNL skit where there's the two women in the sweaters, and then who is it? The Baldwin comes on. And he talking about his sweaty balls at Christmas time. We're gonna wear Christmas sweaters, and we're gonna talk about sweaty balls. And you need to go look this up on SNL, my friend.
Okay.
You need to YouTube this stuff.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. The sweaty balls, and you're gonna be the guy, and we're gonna be the sweaty balls girl. Are you ready? Next week, next Tuesday.
Oh my
I
God.
can't do next Tuesday.
I'm gonna have her back on the show
I'm going-
one
I have
time
to
in the
go back
future.
home.
What's home?
It's an hour and a half away.
That's not far. What's home?
What's home?
Yeah.
What's home?
Where's home?
Oh, Shelton.
Shelton.
That's not an hour and a half
It is an
away.
hour
That's
and a
like
half.
50 minutes.
It's not 15 minutes.
It's like 50 minutes.
So
No, it's
Liam, now that we have Liam on the
Sweaty
spotlight,
balls.
Sweaty balls.
sweaty balls, Liam. We're gonna ask you, Liam, have you ever been in a relationship, or have you ever been around someone that's been in a relationship that you found to be unhealthy, abusive, toxic?
I've been in a bunch of relationships that are unhealthy. You know?
Any kind of sort of trauma that came associated that's associated with that, like anything that, like in any one, like can you tell us a story?
What's your trigger? Like,
yeah, like
how old are you?
That happened
You're early
to you.
20s. Like,
My
what's your
early
trigger?
20s.
You're young still, so you're still learning about your triggers. But what's something that might have happened in the past that now you're just like, fuck no, I'm never gonna deal with that ever again?
Do you not like the woohoo girls? You need to start watching How I Met Your Mother.
I don't like the woohoo girls. Yeah, I definitely hate that. Yeah, I just hate selfishness. That's definitely a big thing for me. I've had a lot of relationships where they're very self-absorbed in a lot of their ways, which is fine. I think people are naturally self-absorbed anyways.
No, I think it's a generational thing. I mean, again, I have a daughter who's 20 and 22, and they think I'm cringy. I can't even open their Instagrams.
Yeah.
Like, their Halloween costume was duct tape.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's true.
Like, and again, but how are you valuing yourself? Like,
Me?
you know, no, them. I'm like, I don't know what the hell these
I don't get
girls
that.
are doing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an old soul in my own way with that stuff like that. I'm a very traditional guy. I don't understand a lot of that stuff where they're like wearing skirts past their ass, and like, I just don't get it.
Like pockets cut out in the back, in the butt part.
It's just it's not my thing. I mean, it's not my thing personally. But like I've had a few girlfriends where they've been abusive and all that stuff, and it's just kind of what it was. I don't really talk about that stuff. I don't.
Why
really,
not?
Why? I'm not the kind of guy that like you guys talked about earlier. I don't talk about my stuff like that a lot.
Nobody does.
Well,
We don't
talked
either.
about that, Liam, with you in past episodes of how you grew up in a household where your parents were together, your father had high expectations of you. You know, you were the middle child.
Yeah.
You're expected to hold everything together, be composed at all times. You know, always represent your father and your family well, and never be too emotional.
Yeah.
You don't want to upset your mother.
Yeah.
You don't want to upset your sister. You don't want to upset your brother.
Yep.
You had a lot of responsibility on you growing up. So we talked about, like, in the past, some of my traumas are like the physical abuse and like neglect and things like that. You didn't really experience those things, but you had your own things that you had to deal with, and that was being made to feel like you had to bottle up a lot of your emotions.
So that's basically why I don't do that a lot. And it's I'm not a violent guy, and I'm not like a rude guy. Like anytime I got in an argument with my girlfriends in the past, I just walk away. I'm the guy that just walks away and let things cool down when it gets like super heated like that. And then they get more annoyed, and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what you want me to do. Like, I'm not going to sit here and yell at you and like.
It's almost like they want a reaction.
Oh yeah,
You know what I mean?
for
Like,
sure.
and
And that's probably their own trauma from what they're used to.
That's their trauma. Because
Yeah.
I don't want a reaction. I just want to have a conversation.
Exactly. And I just am big on just, if you're upset with me, just tell me. Like, don't have to yell at me. Just be like, listen, you did this. I don't like that. I'm like, yeah, I get that completely. And, you know, vice versa. Like, if something, I do the same thing, but it was, if I mention one thing, it was, all right, let's get into the nitty gritty of everything you've been doing wrong this week. I was like, what? And I'm like, okay. And then, one time it was in my dorm, and like, I was an RA, and she was over, and she was just getting into like, she won a yelling match and was yelling at me in the middle of my own dorm. And I just was not yelling. I was just kind of like, I get it. Like, I'm very nonchalant with that stuff.
Passive.
Yeah. And that's what gets them more annoyed, because I'm just kind of like, you can yell, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not gonna
I'm not gonna engage.
match
Shows that
that.
they're not getting to you.
I'm not matching that energy, and that's what gets them more mad. I've noticed, and it's I can't do anything about it. Like, it's the minute I start yelling, and start doing like
then
that,
it's aggressive and violent and dangerous and
then
scary.
and then I don't want to have that rep
Right.
with people
Right.
that are in the halls, and
it's not your nature.
Yeah.
It's just not your nature. But
No.
I'd like to say this and be very clear here as well.
Cane down.
I'd like to be very clear about this. Men are not the only ones that can be the aggressor and the violent person in a relationship. God, that is not what we are saying here. I want to make that very clear. There are
women are horrible.
there are
people.
so many women that take it too far.
Yes.
That feel like because there's a dynamic where the man shouldn't be too aggressive with the woman, that they feel like they're entitled to be overly aggressive with the man because they feel like they're untouchable, or something like that. But they're not unleavable. Like, bitch, I will leave your ass. You don't have, that's, you might be a woman. Yeah. A respectable man is not going to put his hands on you for acting like that. But a respectable man will walk away from you. And I believe that there's a lot of power in walking away.
Yeah.
There's a lot of power in silence, that I feel like a lot more people should try to learn about and practice, because a lot of times people are just loud and wrong. Just loud and wrong, or just loud for no reason and aggressive for no reason. But to us, I say no reason, right? That I shouldn't have said that. That's how they were raised. That's how they were brought up. That's how they were taught to handle conflict in their lives.
Yeah.
And that's why with the TraumCom podcast here, I really want people to take away not just the stories, the individual stories that we're telling here today, and getting some of the stuff off our chest, in order, in hopes to relate to others, but it's so powerful that we can show different sides to different people, different perspectives, and that no two people are going to react to something the same. No two people are going to think about something the same way. But if everyone could really try to understand that violence and aggression isn't a good way to get through to people, then I think that people could definitely be able to communicate better.
Yeah.
Communication is key. And that can, the gap in communication is where people tend to start being angry.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They're not patient. They don't understand the other person's point of view. They're not willing to take the time to understand the other person's point of view. But men and women out there can be very toxic in relationships. Straight relationships, gay relationships, bi relationships, poly relationships. There's all types of different people out here now. It's 2024. There's not just men with women and women with men. There's so much of a balance that needs to be found here between human people, just humankind, just human beings.
Yeah,
we need to be able to
connect and
and
communicate.
understand
Communication
each other.
is.
It's key. It's everything.
I just feel like so many people have just shut down, and again, I'm one of them. I'm a communicator. I'm in marketing and sales. Have been my whole life since COVID hit. Yeah, I've stopped communicating a lot. I need to work on that. We all have stuff we need to work on, you know, and I think that's a huge takeaway. You take this stuff, you got to work on it in your relationships, in your life, in your business, and everything that you do.
Yeah.
No, I was just comment. I was talking to my mom today, actually, about because comment what you said something about earlier about how your daughter doesn't speak to you and stuff. So my mom about something about that recently, about how she doesn't talk to her parents a lot and everything, and it wasn't about that necessarily. It was kind of almost like she's like, well, I don't want to talk to these certain people because they don't align with something that I believe in and stuff. I said, okay. Well, I don't believe in, because I'm very rational. I said, I'm one of those people that don't agree with you on these certain things. I was like, you're not going to talk to me anymore? And she was like, no, you're different, because your family's like, well, no, because in my opinion, if you're going to do that, it should be across the board. It's like, you can't just pick and choose kind of like who you talk to and all that stuff. So Like, if your daughter doesn't talk to you because of like that reason, I think that's ridiculous, because at that point it should be across the board. Because
Don't talk to your father either then.
yeah. So, and
Or
that's
talk to both of us, or
that's
none.
what I'm saying. Like, you know, because I think it's ridiculous and very immature. But I realize a lot of time people that age, that are my age, I'm 22, but like they tend to favor people that enable their own beliefs and
Cater to
behaviors.
them.
So that could be a big reason too in a lot of ways.
Well,
And-
I stopped doing that. She's 22, and I did. I stopped catering to
Yeah.
all of her needs. Again, I was her rock. I gave her everything and anything she ever asked for or needed. And then when I stepped out, and then she's like, "Well, I'm not going to talk to you anymore." Well, so again,
I think she's hurting too.
well, I
and
think
she
so
doesn't
too.
know.
But I mean, last Christmas, I bought her a beautiful Tiffany necklace, both of them. One of my daughters talks to me. The 22-year-old won't. She won't. And
She has things she has to get
and
through.
now my father, who has stage 4 cancer, and my mother, who is very, very sick and been out of the hospital and might die like right now. It's really scary. And my parents like, you need to come home, Christmas. And I'm like, well, no, because my children are there and it's awkward. And why would I do that? I don't want to make everyone uncomfortable. And she won't talk to me.
Yeah.
And I said to my dad, I said, I gave it a whole year. And my mom's like, what did she say? My dad's like, she gave it a year. Like, she hasn't come around. Like, I've tried.
Yeah.
So I don't know what
But
to do.
it's not something you can.
Put a time limit.
No,
on.
you can't force it.
Yeah.
No.
A year
and-
to you is like a long time, but maybe she needs a year and a half. Maybe she needs 2. But
I
still,
know. It's just really
But-
sad because my dad's
Yeah.
probably going to die. My mom's probably going to die.
Take-
And then that's it. And
take
then.
take this
yeah.
from someone that like lost someone and all that stuff. I refuse to go see them because of X, Y, and Z reasons. And like I regret it so much, even all that
yeah.
stuff. And so I would recommend, even if it's awkward, if it's not about that, it's about the fact it's about for you kind of thing. So I wouldn't even like put it in other people's feelings in that scope, but I know you will, because I could tell that's what you do.
It's just hard to go there.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to go there on Christmas Day with my parents, with my children who
Yeah,
It's
and
hard.
They
It's-
just don't
it's
like
not
me.
gonna. It's not gonna be.
it sucks.
It's not gonna be easy.
It's
And-
hard
and-
to defend yourself in a room full of people who have already
Made up their
judged you
minds
and made up
and-
their minds
That I made the
based
wrong decision.
based on the relationship that you have
Nothing to do
with your ex partner.
And none of these people had anything to do with the relationship that I ended.
My son wasn't around when his father was putting his hands on me and bruising me and making me bleed and punching me and grabbing me and doing these things. My son wasn't. He didn't remember any of this because I
No,
left.
we hide our children
early.
from that. We
So-
hide our children from the
Right.
abuse.
So, but my point is that so now he has to make up his own mind. He has, and I can't force my son to say, hey, even though I was in this really bad relationship.
No, you can't say
because
anything like that.
Because that's guess what? Guess what my son even told me in having a conversation with him about this. He said, you have to understand, and this is why I know my son is my son, and he has a lot of insight with him, and he's so much smarter and stronger than he even knows. He told me, he said, Mom, I get that you're mad at Dad. I get that, he left. I get these things, but I'm still half of him, and I'm still half of you. I don't want to hear bad things about my dad because he's half of me. Those bad things you're saying is still half of me.
It's not. It's
And
not.
it's like, damn. And it's like, but you know what? He has a point. I know it's not that.
It's
I
none
know
of
it's not
him.
like I'm not
It's
like,
none of him.
right. It's none of him, but to him,
I get that.
his father is in him.
I get
So I have to step out of my own head space and put myself in the perspective of that child who does not understand fully, in order for us to be able to continue to grow and possibly heal in time. You know, I raised him, like you said, you gave your daughter everything. You were there for her. I was the only one there for him for most of his life. And as soon as his biological father comes back in the picture, you know, he dotes on every word that he said at that time when he first came back because he missed him so much. And if that part of that is saying everything, in a nutshell, he's pretty much told him everything that you've seen with your eyes, everything that you've known to be true is not true because I say so, and she's bad, and it's not my fault. And my son, in a moment of wanting to believe everything that his father has to say because he's finally back, well, it sunk in. And I have a strained relationship, and I know you have a strained relationship. And because of those traumas with our children's fathers that once happened, and our kids don't understand what happened on that end, right? And now we have to go back out in the world. We have to deal with the exes. We have to deal with our children. And we have to fucking move on because we're still women. We still deserve love. We still need love. And we want that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And, and so we have to find someone that is going to be able to put up with our crazy, and we can put up with their crazy because, you know, everyone has a little bit of it in them, you know, and that is what I'm going to leave you guys here with today is just, you know, everyone has a lot of shit that you're dealing with from your past, and it might even trickle down to your future with your children and your family members and people who have been affected by distorted versions of your truth, because you're always going to be the villain in someone's story, always. So just know, just be true to yourself.
Know your truth. Just
Yep.
own your truth and know your truth.
Own
and
your truth.
Hold on to that. That's all.
And know that there's nothing wrong with being broken, like my friend Mary here said earlier, because what I aim to do is to fucking put those broken people up on a pedestal, because yeah, something broke us at some point.
I'm bent. I'm not broken.
Exactly, but we're
Bent.
not. But even
bent.
even with that, even with your spirit being once broken, it doesn't have to stay that way. And what you evolve into after you put yourself back together again is always going to be a better version of what was there before. Always. So just keep fighting, keep being strong, keep talking to someone, keep talking to each other. Reach out to someone when you feel like you might need someone to talk to. And to you, women and men who might be in an abusive relationship right now, there are hotlines in every state. There's always someone that you can turn to, whether it's a stranger online. There are groups that you can reach out to. There are Facebook groups. There are 211. There's a lot of different resources out there. I don't know all of them, but we can look into that together. You can reach out to me, and I will be
You can feel
more than
free
happy to help.
message either of us, DM us on social media. We
Hit up
are around.
TraumCom Podcast, and you know, never be afraid to share a part of your story, if not all of it. And if there's any of you out there that really don't know where to start, but you know you want to get away from whatever you're going through, you want to heal from whatever you've gone through, you want to move forward and leave behind whatever that badness was, feel free to reach out.
There are a lot of resources.
there's a
And
lot
and
of
I want to say a
resources.
big thank you to Jackie, this queen who I met like a month and a half ago. She's an amazing light, an amazing force, an amazing woman, small business owner. And I don't know, my life is better having met her. So
Thank you. Thank you. I
I,
very
I,
much
I
enjoy our
look forward
friendship.
to our friendship continuing.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thank
and
you for
sharing,
having me.
Yeah, a piece of your history that was difficult for you, and a lot of that is still difficult for you. And I hope that you feel a little better having talked about some of that out loud. And,
Thank you so
you know,
much.
I hope that things get better with you and your daughter. I hope that she comes to realize one day that we all have to, there comes a time and a day and a place in all of our lives where we have to take a stand for ourselves and put ourselves first, whether that is day one or it's day 1,030,000. Okay? Like, no matter when you choose to put yourself first, congratulations.
Thank you.
You know, you did it.
I do it
and-
for them.
Yep, you do it for them, and whether they know it or not right now. I know
They don't.
You know,
They
right
don't,
now,
but I
you
do.
know, we know people that are not always going to understand things right away and not see things from our point of view. But I hope that in sharing some of your testimony and just being here with us today, you have survived a lot of different turmoils in your life, and you are thriving now, and I am so proud of you.
Thank
And
you, my friend.
I know that you're going to do much more amazing things.
Thank you, my friend.
And Liam, to you I say,
We love you.
we love you, but
We
you gotta
love you.
you gotta stop. You gotta get those crazy ass bitches out of your dorm, okay? You
I mean,
gotta,
they're already gone.
I mean, bitches be
We
tripping
love you.
sometimes.
They're gone already.
You know,
I got rid of them.
Good. You know, and we got rid of our crazy ass dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully for the three of us in this room, I pray that we'll never have to encounter someone so emotionally unstable. You know, that it brings pain and anguish and any kind of badness into our lives.
I kind of
Because-
like this vibe. I kind of like the three of us. I feel like we could talk about a lot of things. Did you
We
see I have my
definitely
folder?
could.
I
We
have my
definitely
folder
could.
out. Oh, it's in the folder. I
we're-
told you.
We'll get the folder.
I
We'll get to the
told-
folder another day.
I told you it's in the folder.
I don't even know if we can open that
no,
Pandora's
we
folder
can't,
today.
But I told you it's in the folder. So
But
this is a whole nother thing we have to do.
That's a whole other topic. Mary,
Stay tuned.
stay tuned. And
Jackie and I are going to be doing something wild in the next month. So stay tuned because I'm pretty sure we have a crazy January podcast coming out because we'll order the thingy thing and we're going to do it's going to be epic.
Yes.
So you don't even know.
Stay tuned.
Liam doesn't even know yet. He's going to do it too.
Liam
No,
doesn't even
no.
know. We
Yes,
make
you are.
Liam do
Yes,
all
you are.
kinds
Yes,
of things
you
he doesn't
are.
know about
Oh
yet.
my God, it's going to be so great.
It's fun, Liam. You're gonna love it. We love you.
Okay, love you.
All right, so everyone, stay true to yourself. Get out of those nasty, filthy relationships that are not serving you. And if you need help with that, hit us up at any time.
If you'd like to buy a house or we'd like to sell your house, call me as well. Mary
Oh,
Mercer.
shameless plug. Go
Shameless
ahead, Mary.
plug.
Go
Yeah.
ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. Mary Mercer Realtor, Agnelli Real Estate, 860-966-0223. Mary Mercer Realtor at gmail.com. Yeah, shameless plug.
Okay.
Shameless plug.
And we got this lovely realtor right here, and she is ready to sell you your next house. And guess what? We'll be ready to clean it with Jack's Cleaning Service, your sponsored host for the evening. So anyways, peace out, guys.
Love yous.